entry at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. You can see them come in from the left-hand side of your screen, and in 2 minutes it will be Orient Express Racing. We're beaten in race number 1 by Alingi Red Bull Racing.
Yeah, really nice entry there. Rossa Prada Pirelli just a couple of seconds off. The French looking much more on time than they were in the last start, which will be a great to see them battling it out against the best in the business, arguably, alongside possibly Emirates Team New Zealand from the last America's Cup in this pre-start dance. Oh, and the French off the foil there. That's not what they need. They've slowed down too much.
Entry penalty France, get behind penalty, entry penalty France.
We saw on the wind field them sailing into a big amount of pressure there with the Capgemini wind field there, trying to slow the boat down, pulling the handbrake on, and they've pulled it on too hard and actually slowed the boat down too much. They've got to rebuild here. They're going to have to take off, and they'll really be on the back foot here in this pre-start. They've got to get the boat taken off and get it on the foils.
1 minute 15 to go. Can they get back up on the foils from what you're seeing?
Enough pressure to get back up on the foils, Shirley, as we go forwards here, and this will really open the door. I mean, Rossa Prada Pirelli basically doing their own time on distance from here.
Well, we can see the speed is coming, so good news for France. And yeah, Rossa beautifully lined up on the right-hand side, just going to judge that return to the start line. Both these teams, difficult first races. I mean, really looking for something solid here.
Obviously the Italian team, looking to get round the racetrack after a reliability issue in the first race, which have obviously got sorted out now, but the French really over in coffin corner there. I mean, they're very, very vulnerable here, coming back on port tack. Rossa Prada Pirelli, just be looking at their own time on distance. I think they'll be looking at where the French are.
Boundary penalty France, that's 2 penalties.
And really not a good day for Orient Express Racing at the moment, with a couple of unforced errors there as they get to grips with sailing these AC75 class yachts in racing anger.
So let's look at Rossa Prada Pirelli. Looks like time on distance is going to be an absolute peach in the final race of the day. They're sailing against themselves at the moment, but most importantly, they'll want to be able to complete the full 6 legs.
France to restart.
So basically, the French there over the course side of the line early there when the gun went. So the restart from Richard Slater there, which is exactly what the French are doing now.
Penalty's clear.
Cleared their start line, and now they're off. But Rossa Prada Pirelli will just be boosting it over to the left-hand side of the course there, Shirley.
I mean, the French were, well, nearly a whole boat length over the entry line there. I mean, is that software errors, or just getting to grips with it, or just a mistake?
Yeah, it's a really good question. You'd hope that it's a software issue, but I'm not sure there. We'll have to wait and hear from possibly Terry Dullar from the coach boat at some point during the race. But watching Rossa Prada Pirelli here, they are really sailing well.
On to chase zero. Peter Lester, did you get a first-hand view of what was going on with the French?
Well, yeah, coming in, they did fall into a light spot and they just fell off the foils, and then it just takes such a hard speed build, when you're trying to get down below the line. And really then from there on, it's all just back foot stuff. But with time, you'd think they'd rectify those pre-start. You haven't got a lot of time in terms of only 2 minutes. And if you do make a handling error, it's so costly. But Rossa Prada Pirelli really just dominated. They went out to that windward side, they waited their chance, and now they are gone and looking superb as they head up, heading over towards the right.
So up the first leg in this final race of the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta for day number 1. And Rossa Prada Pirelli will want to put on a good, strong showing here and want the boat to be just feeling right after that huge systems failure that cost them in race number 2 against Emirates.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Reliability is key, as it is in a lot of high-tech sports, and there's a huge wealth of experience and knowledge within Rossa Prada Pirelli, and they will absolutely be all over that side of things. And fantastic to see the boat really dialed in here and sailing well. Be really interesting, Shirley, to see whether the French can sort of stay in touch with Rossa Prada Pirelli. It'll give us a good indication on how the boat performance is relative to Rossa if they can hang in there.
these races are all about learning, and if, as you say, if they can just kind of stay in touch, they'll get a feel for pace. They'll get a good look at the other boats' manoeuvres. It's just so important to learn. I mean, you're working with the French, you're coaching them. What's your advice?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting one. I mean, it's obviously when you've got another boat that you're racing, it does elevate the pressure onto the team. And these guys haven't had a lot of time sailing this boat compared to a lot of the other teams. But if they can get off the start line cleanly and they can do the simple things well, I think they'll get around the racetrack really well. So it's just a matter of executing cleanly, and I think they'll be in the mix for sure.
Il arrive les lanes de gauche. Non, 20. Allez, remonte un poil la cuve. Il pousse over les lines, François. Avec le petit tac maintenant. Line 26.
Orient Express Racing, their learning curve is a steep one. That's the second poor start they've made, to be honest, and it has cost them. But I'll repeat again what we've said before. We had a chance to see them in practice racing the last couple of days, and once they get going, it's a quick boat. This is about fast boats. It is a quick boat.
Yeah, they're a quick boat and they're a talented bunch. I mean, they are. You've been working with them. They're sort of inhaling knowledge, aren't they, the whole time? And you know, I've high hopes that they're just going to get better and better at a rapid pace.
Rossa Prada Pirelli around the top mark for the first time. Now that's, I was about to say, that's pretty tidy, Glenn.
Wasn't their best one. You heard Jimmy's Biddle say that he was blocked out on the Traveller, so he's obviously getting to a pressure relief setting there on the Traveller, so that's interesting to hear on the comms.
And Orient Express Racing go around the left-hand mark, as you can see it on your screen, whatever size of screen you may be watching on. And
yeah, that's a nice rounding from the guys there. They're you know, they've got round there pretty cleanly, and you know, sailing downwind pretty well here. So if they can lock in, keep sailing the boat cleanly, that's the most important thing for these guys to do at the moment, is just get the boat round the course cleanly, because the package we're all hoping is going to be pretty good and get them in the mix for sure. Having a look at the wind field here, you can see Rossa Prada Pirelli in more breeze than where the French are, and you can see the boat speed 44.7 knots versus 42, largely due to the extra wind that they're sailing in at the moment.
Oh, 50 knots is the magic number, isn't it, for the foils? That's when you start to really worry about cavitation. I mean, you just can see a little bit of bubbling right there from Rossa.
The boat's just so efficient now. Pete, just going to you onto the water. Can you see the puffs and the lulls there, Pete, from Chase Zero on the water there as they're coming across from where you are?
Yeah, just looking at wind on the water, I'm looking down the track now, and certainly there are some lulls, and that shows up as just a lighter colour on the water. Both boats, for me now, are heading into more pressure as they head over to the right-hand side. There's certainly nothing wrong with Orient's down pace. A fast boat, they've just got to figure out, you know, getting that detail, the crewing, and especially getting off the line. Rossa Prada Pirelli, they're on fire, and it's great to see that they're not having any of those electrical issues they had against Emirates Team New Zealand earlier today.
Just having a look at the Rossa cyclors there. They'll be looking at their screens down below. They'll be watching the pressures, watching the course boundaries. They know exactly where they are on the course, even though they haven't got their heads up. So very well practiced team.
I've got to ask a question about cyclors. You mentioned something to us yesterday when we were chatting about them, about it's like trying to cycle through a swamp.
It basically is, yeah. These guys definitely, as we saw before with the Emirates Team New Zealand cyclors, these guys are pretty happy putting themselves in the hurt locker. And if you can imagine riding a race bike through a swamp, that's pretty much what it's like powering a hydraulic pump. It's really, really difficult to push that oil around the boat. And as all the loads are changing on the boat, all the sail functions are changing on the boat, the pressures are going up and down. You're using high flow, high pressure, low pressure. The guys have to change gears, and the system on the boat has to change to account for all the load changes.
looking at your pins, I would suspect you were never wanting to be a cyclor.
Definitely a trimmer in my world, that's for sure, Stephen.
Rossa Prada Pirelli, the silver bullet, heading towards the bottom mark for the first time. You can see they're going to take that right-hand mark, as you said, and around they go. Both boards are down.
This is the race committee. We are moving the windward marks, shortening to the course to 1.85 nautical miles.
And in comes Orient Express Racing. The gap at the top mark was 20 seconds. The gap at the bottom mark, 21, but they've rounded ahead upwind on leg number 3 in this 4th race of the day. The final one for the day in the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta here in Barcelona.
You can hear the voice of Timothy Lepau there talking to the rest of the cycling team, and they're pushing really hard. The French boys, they really need to execute this next manoeuvre well. Looking at the optional route there, or optimal route I should say, to the top mark, and not a huge amount on offer there from the simulator for the French to get back into this race, unfortunately.
It always looks good in that bottom right-hand corner, though, doesn't it? I wonder if that's, you know, effect off the beach, or, well, I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
Over time, I think it'll play out, but some absolutely sensational shots there of Rossa Prada Pirelli ripping up when you see how fast that leeward foil is going through the water. You look at the sea state, and then you look at how steady the boat is going through the water.
Massive amount of design decisions to get to this. I mean, normally foiling boats are in flat water. I mean, this has been a huge intellectual exercise, and also for the sailors then how to make the machine work.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, obviously foil design, extremely critical, as that is really the only part of the boat that's in the water at the moment. The hulls these days are sort of designed around hydrodynamics, but also around aerodynamics. You know, aerodynamically, they just have to connect the rig to the water so well.
The foils are longer than we saw in New Zealand, but small.
They are super small in area. If you actually look at the foils in real life, you think, how the hell can that carry a 7-ton yacht out of the water at those sort of speeds? They really are an engineering masterpiece, and something that, you know, not many people get to see, but here we are looking at the thing, you know, in real life as it's going through the water. It's really nice.
That's like lifting a truck out of the water.
It is, on something that's around about 200 millimetres wide, so it's pretty impressive. It's pretty good.
Let's go to Rossa Prada Pirelli's chase boat. Philippe Presti, the coach, is joining us now. The silver bullet looks good today after the systems failure earlier. Now she's flying prettily.
Yeah, she's flying high, hopefully all the way to the race. We had a kind of issue in the first race, very disappointing, because it was a tough race and it was very close. So anyway, the boys did a good job to repair all the malfunction, and we're back on track.
Hi, Philippe. It's Glenn here, mate. How are you?
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, mate. Can you fill us in on exactly what happened with the shutdown? I heard the boys say we've lost the boat. We've lost the boat. Can you give us any insight into what actually happened there?
I don't have the competence. It was something electronic that malfunctioned and just stopped every function of the boat, so we couldn't turn the mast or move any appendages. So that was kind of scary. And after we tried to connect to the boat, but during the race, all the communication are shut. We saw that there was an issue, and we want to connect to the boat, but it took a little bit of time to stop the boat and to go on board and to fix it. But yeah, nothing major. This boat, as you said, are super complex, are crazy engineering, but they're also pretty fragile, and still a lot to do to have them fully bulletproof.
All right, grazie, Philippe. Appreciate the time. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Welcome. Ciao.
Ciao, yeah. And Rossa Prada Pirelli fires herself around the right-hand mark as they see it on the water. You just again realize when you see these boats go around these marks, how difficult that manoeuvre is, as easy as it looks from where we sit.
Yeah, it's a real balance getting the boat around the mark. It's probably one of the most difficult manoeuvres. The top and the bottom, you know, the hairpin turns, you know, the big change of angle is really, really difficult.
Orient Express Racing coming around now to complete the halfway mark of this final race of the day. Nice and clean, they'll be happy with that.
A little heeled there at times, but they've got it under control. The cyclors there will be on the rev limiter at this point in the race. Doing a great job there, getting the boat round. The French will be just hoping to stay in touch here and not lose any more ground to the Italians. Sailing the boat nice and clean is really what the day is all about for the French team.
So France touched down, they went into the jibe, they looked all right, but then they flew quite high and they touched down. So again, it's just those control issues that are limiting the French. I think speed-wise, the boat looks fine, but that manoeuvre, the mark rounding looked good. It was that first jibe that was costly. That will be valuable seconds lost.
It's just another indication of where they're probably at in racing this AC75, but they are still determined to prove that they are strong and they can be strong. We know it's got a fast boat, but just again of what went wrong here.
Yeah, it looked like the dagger board actually went back down. The one that they were getting out of the water looked like it started going back down, and definitely a rudder ventilation. You could see the puff of water come off the rudder, and that was a big vent. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there as they were exiting the jibe. So hopefully we'll get an opportunity to find out what happened later on.
Lots of gremlins on board the French boat, don't you think, today? They're sailing fast, but just coming unstuck.
Rossa Prada Pirelli. I've got to say, when you look at this boat and how even it is to the surface, that's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, the pitch stability, if you like, of the yachts is really, really key to maximum performance. And you can just see how well Rossa Prada Pirelli, the flight controllers, are doing on keeping that pitch stable. And that pitch is basically all derived around the rudder elevator. It's how accurately you can control that rudder elevator. The rudder moves together to control that elevator. Doing a good job of that is very, very good for performance.
Rossa Prada Pirelli have certainly lengthened their lead on Orient Express Racing Team in this fourth race as they head down to the bottom gate for the, well, let's just say before the finish. Two more legs to go, and they round that comfortably. Yeah, just a bit of a...
Not the best manoeuvre there from Rossa Prada Pirelli. I'm being critical there, but they actually did get a little bit of a sideways slide going on there. So you can see the exit of that tack really slow. They should have been exiting that tack probably about 6 or 8 knots faster than they did there, dropping down to about 26 knots. They should have been well over 30 knots bottom speed in that tack. So might be a critical eye from my point, but you know, they're sailing the boat nicely. So I'm trying to pick anything that I can see to rip them one. But no, look, they're sailing well. But that was just a little bit high, a little bit slidey, and on the edge of grip, which, you know, they're obviously pushing the boat hard.
We talk about, you know, one of the strengths of the defenders being retention of people, you know, holding on to that IP, but actually Rossa have the same model. You know, the same sailors are back, the same designers, and wow, we're seeing the results of that.
And they've also produced a new word, slidey. A bit slidey.
A bit slidey.
A bit slidey. Here's hoping that Orient Express Racing aren't a bit slidey around the bottom mark to head upwind for the last time.
It's a bit like your rental car driving, I think, isn't it, Stephen? A little bit slidey at times.
Wow. Okay. Well, we are looking at boats that remind us of Formula One races with their design and their speed and their movement and the talk about it. So I'll take it.
Old sideways Stephen.
Orient Express, I mean, they bought the design package from the Kiwis, from Emirates Team New Zealand. I mean, what does that actually mean? You know, what do they get for that?
Yeah, obviously the French, you know, basically don't have a design team. So I think we're actually just about to hear from Mel from Race Committee. So I'll just lay out for a second.
This is the race committee. We are moving the finish marks. Course length is now 1.75 nautical miles.
So Melanie Roberts there, little course change, just keeping everything square and in line. But getting back to the design package, yeah, effectively the French, you know, don't have a big design team. In fact, a very small one. So they've actually, to get on the table and even make it to the start line in this America's Cup, the only option for them was really to buy a design package off a team, and hopefully the design package that they've bought is a good one. I think what we're seeing is, you know, some great performance when they get the thing pointed in a straight line and are sailing the boat well, and obviously a huge amount to learn, not just in the sailing of the boat, but in the systems and actually almost the reverse engineering of how the design has actually come about. So, you know, big job for the team, and fantastic to see them on the water, and they will just be getting better and better, and they'll be learning every single minute that they're sailing here out on the waters of Barcelona.
Fesse un peu au board-up, Matt.
Ouais, sur celui-là, ouais.
See the wind field there, Shirley. Not a huge amount happening at the moment. Looks like a fairly steady breeze. When we're not seeing those big colour changes on the course, that's an indication that the wind isn't really doing a whole lot. So it's a fairly steady, smooth breeze this afternoon.
It's very calm on board Luna Rossa, isn't it? We think back to New Zealand. This was the team that invented the dual helm, Francesco Bruni and, of course, Jimmy Spittle. So they're well practiced, aren't they, in communication. That's not easy. You're learning how to paint the picture for the other helm, to trust the other helm, and to share the decision-making. It's not easy.
No, definitely not easy, and I think all the teams, that relationship between both sides of the yacht, you know, not just from a steering perspective, but from a trimming, foil trimming perspective, you know, it is a very, very, you know, practice choreograph boat. You know, you have to be very, very good on both sides of the yacht to get around the track in good shape.
In a funny old way, it does make you wonder, maybe that's why American Magic went for the side-by-side, so they can look at each other and eye contact and all that sort of thing. The little things, the details, because detail is everything in the America's Cup, as Rossa Prada Pirelli round the top mark for the final time.
Coming down. Catch.
No sign of sliding, Glenn?
No slidey there, Stephen. That was a very, very railed turn, as you'd say, and you know, really, really nice turn there. You could see the stern sinking there as they go around, making sure they got plenty of grip on that rudder. Also, basically allowing the boat to go a little bit bow up means that the flap of the foil can go up a little bit as well, which is actually good for reducing the cavitation on the foils.
You'd have to say one thing we have been treated to today on the opening day of the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta. Wind and plenty of it, but also the challenging sea set which we've been talking about.
Yeah, these boats just make bumpy water look smooth. It is not smooth. You go out there on any other boat than one of these and you'd be getting your teeth rattled out at the sort of speeds that they're doing. So really, really great performance with these boats now, compared to previous being about 700 kilograms lighter than the version 2 boats. So the light air performance, absolutely incredible of these boats now.
Orient Express Racing, they will round the top mark for the final time. Tough old day. Starts have really hurt them, and amongst other things, but the start is a critical part of this whole AC75 regatta. We've said it before, we've seen it in a couple of days ago. We know they've got a fast boat, but it's the detail, the little things that are costing Orient Express right now, but they will get better.
It's quite hard to practice the starts, isn't it? I mean, you can set up your own start line, but then you don't have all the information from race control, and it's just kind of different. They're really sort of learning from the get-go here.
You can hear the cyclos there, really pushing hard.
On en reparle après, mais ouais.
Yeah, big job. Hats off to the cyclos of all the teams. It is a monumental effort powering a boat of this size just with 4 humans. It's a great effort.
It makes for quite selfishly some beautiful television when you see boats like this coming at you, graceful, knowing that they are some of the fastest big boats in the world now, going around a course for the ultimate prize eventually. It's a long way off. October 12th, the start of the match. Who will face Emirates Team New Zealand? Will it be the team that faced them last time? Who knows? We're only the preliminary regatta, and Rossa Prada Pirelli in their second race of the day get the points this time and cross the line in race number 4. That solitary point, valuable after their system's failure back in race 2.
Absolutely no emotion shown there by the Rossa Prada Pirelli team, I should say. And just another day at the office for those guys. And you can see there, Philippe, nobody's high-fiving or yahooing. They're just going, righto, we got it around the track. Let's get it back in the shed and keep developing as we move forward. So very, very clinical performance.
It is a learning game, and we actually heard Ben Ainsley start to talk about that. It is, you know, every day just trying to get faster and faster, and if you don't keep that pace of development on, then you're left behind. Did you just talk a little bit about that, Glenn, how important it is to stay ahead?
The development process absolutely just has to carry on right the way through to the end. I mean, you've obviously got to get through the Challenger Series to make it to the America's Cup final, and the development process just has to carry on, and it's such a big job for all the teams to try and preempt what that development process is, and that's the beauty of the America's Cup. It's a design race as much as a sailing race, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. We're seeing fantastic different designs, but we're also seeing some fantastic racing, and the sailing teams do make a difference as well as the design teams, and it's very much a combination to be successful.
And the amount of pressure that each team feels would be enormous, even though we're only at the start. And Orient Express Racing coming in to finish the day. They will end the day 0-2, no points, and lots of debriefing to be done. But we are so happy that they are here. The French have a magnificent history of racing in the America's Cup, and it just makes the difference because 6 boats out going head-to-head, you gotta love it.
No, absolutely, for sure, Stephen. And I think, you know, what we'll see with Orient Express Racing is we'll just see a very, very steep improvement as they go forwards. And obviously a big deficit there of 1:33. But I think we will see the team of Orient Express Racing really step up and make some big gains over the coming races. So stand by on that one.
Orient Express too early for entry, tried to slow it down, got in all kinds of trouble off the foils, and from there it was tough, really. Chicken winged up in that pre-start. Really tough day for them. And at the start, well, Rossa clinically executed that. Good practice, Glenn.
Faster restart.
France another penalty to shake off late to start. Well, by leg 5, the Italian lead was something else, a kilometre ahead, and goodness, sailing smooth and smart. A lovely lap for the Italians, and they go home happy with that.
Most importantly, the Italians go home with 1 point in the bag on the opening day of the Louis Vuitton Preliminary Regatta. Jimmy Spidler's standing by on the Silver Bullet. Jimmy, thanks for joining us. You don't mind us calling it the Silver Bullet, do you?
No, nothing wrong with that.
Rate that race from where you're sitting.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was pretty much all over in the start when the French fell off the foils in the entries. But yeah, we worked on a couple of manoeuvres and boys sailed the boat well.
Yeah, Jimmy, it's Glennie here. How you going, mate? The cycling guys obviously doing a pretty good job there at the back of the bus. It probably wasn't the hardest race for them, but can you just tell us sort of how hard they're working for you behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, look, in the closer head-to-head races, yeah, they're right at the rev limiter, that's for sure. That one was a little bit easier, but yeah, in these sort of days, it's you really use all that horsepower. You just use anything you can get. So no, they're doing a good job.
Are you happy with where you're at the moment as far as development and where the boat is at?
Yeah, I think the boat's going well. You know, obviously we were disappointed with the first one. We would have loved to have a good little hit out there with our old mates from New Zealand, but from another point, it's great to